Hello Power Rangers Lightning Collection fans, and welcome back to Lightning Storm. The series where lightning always strikes twice as we talk about everything that's happened in the past week for the Power Rangers Lightning Collection. It's back! The series is back here on the channel after like a 3-week hiatus, but there was still an episode of Lightning Storm last weekend. If you didn't already notice, last weekend I uploaded Classified Report Episode 1 as an April Fool's joke where I covered all the latest in the G.I. Joe Classified series. However, there was still an episode of Lightning Storm on YouTube, just not on Toku Topics. If you didn't already notice, but a lot of you seemingly did, I uploaded episode 201 of Lightning Storm over on my second channel, Too Many Topics, which is about to hit 500 subscribers at the time of this video, so thank you guys so much. Also, the video over there did very well, so seemingly a lot of you did notice that I uploaded it over there, and I made a community post about it over here, but this is episode 202, and so if you were curious where the missing 201 is, it's over on the secondary channel as an April Fool's joke, but over there, it's literally just a completely normal episode. It's just on the Raw channel as part of the joke. But we're back here, finally, for the first main episode of Lightning Storm on the correct channel, on the correct day, with the, everything is back to normal here, which is interesting, because we don't have a lot of news this week, but the news that we do have is pretty fascinating and reasonably unexpected. So let's go ahead and get right into it. So we really only have like two main stories to talk about here this week, so without wasting any other time, let's go ahead and jump right into it with these brand new pictures. So these pictures are pretty interesting. They come from Will Nugent from the Ranger Unboxing Facebook group. From what I can tell, or what I understand about these pictures, they are not like leaks from the factory. We've had that before in years past with like actual pictures like taken literally in the factory, but it's not that. But these seemingly are figures that have by some means found their way from the factories to somebody here. Take that as you will. I mean, I obviously don't know exactly how it happened, but none of these pictures have any of the figures with their accessories, just the figures. So, once again, connect those dots as to how this possibly could have happened. But so taking a look at these photos, the first one we have is Mighty Morphin Black, SPD Yellow, and Lost Galaxy Pink. So before anybody says it, it does look like that MMPR Black is not the remastered version that we are about to get in Remastered Wave 2, although I am expecting to see some sort of a reveal of that hopefully soon, because there's really no reason to not reveal it since it's the only new figure in that wave. But this does seem to be the Wave 12 Atom version of MMPR Black, just based off of the paint applications, because if it was remastered, it would probably have the black lines, or it should, on the belt, and it's definitely not the Wave 6 Zack version, because that had the Ron Morpher paint, so that's how you know that it's the Wave 12 more recent version, but I figured some people might ask, oh, is this actually a leak for the remastered? It doesn't appear to be. But Lost Galaxy Pink, of course, is in the upcoming Wave 14, which is still slated for a June release. Some stores have it listed for May, so regardless, we're probably going to see this figure more properly in hand from some kind of store, something like with the accessories, with the box and everything, probably by the end of April, I would imagine. Or at least I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case, because it does seem to be pretty much completely done. Same thing with her wave mate, Dino Thunder Black, who we can also see in these pictures, who isn't looking the best. Obviously this one has some sort of arm issue where it's like, looks like it's popping out of the joint, or I don't even know if it's like directly broken or if it's really just not fully into the joint, but his arm looks a little wanky there. But Dino Thunder Black, Lost Galaxy Pink, this is our first like not official Hasbro promo shots pictures of these figures where we can see how they're going to be in their finished formats, and they look pretty solid except for that arm thing. So it's always just fascinating to see how these figures actually do turn out from the original like prototype shots and stuff that we have, because this is going to be more indicative of what you can expect when they actually do release in the next month or month and a half, 2 months or whatever. Of course, for the rest of this wave, Mesogog has been out in Singapore since like January, and I've had a video review of him up on the channel since like sometime in February, so he's like technically out. Dino Fury Blue, we haven't seen any actual photos of except for that one leaked prototype image before the figure was even announced. So no in-hand photos of him just yet, but with two of them having these pictures and one of them actually already being released, we'll probably see it alongside just the entire wave out somewhere, hopefully soon. But Will didn't just have pictures of Wave 14 figures, there was also a picture of the Alien Ranger 5-pack. So this highly anticipated, highly desired 5-pack is probably one that a lot of people did want to see. How is it actually going to turn out, especially with things like the whole triangle black-yellow paint thing with Alien Yellow, which was a whole problem with the promo shot, where the box has it completely wrong, but the prototype pictures of the figures showed that it was going to be correct, and these actual like factory samples do show that it is going to be correct in the final version. thankfully. Very, very happy that that did finally make it all the way through. I think for the most part, these turned out very, very good overall, and I am very excited to get this set, which probably will be the first of these things to actually release somewhere, because a while ago it was originally listed to be released in March in Europe, and while that did change, its new date is still earlier than its US release date, so I'm still expecting to see these a little earlier than maybe even the Wave 14 figures. But regardless, it's just fascinating to see these pictures of them actually out of the factories, or what finished versions of them would look like in somebody's collection, however that may have happened. And that brings us to the second and last story of this week, which, this is kind of weird. So, remember plastic-free packaging? The initiative that's been introduced to every single Hasbro product line, whether that's like 6-inch collectible figures, roleplay items, even the kids' toys and such like that have had it as well. Well, it's ending. So I never expected this to happen, or if I did, I didn't expect it to happen so soon. But basically, this past Thursday night, a lot of different influencers and such like that were all sent an email from Hasbro that said the exact same thing, obviously just changed the name of like who it was addressed to. And then, of course, it wasn't like mentioned in an actual like official press release, but just in this email to a bunch of different influencers for them to then push out to social media and stuff like that, which said the following. We wanted to share an update on packaging for Hasbro's 6-inch scaled figures. Based on your feedback, we will be reintroducing windows and blisters to our 6-inch fan figures beginning later this year into 2024 for select products across our portfolio of brands including G.I. Joe Classified, Power Rangers Lightning Collection, Star Wars Black Series, and Marvel Legends. This will eventually expand to all new 6-inch figure releases. The new windows and blisters will be made from bio-PET or recycled PET, helping us achieve our priority of meeting our fans' expectations for extraordinary packaging and superior design, while still developing packaging that minimizes waste and the use of virgin plastic. So that's that. So plastic-free packaging is going away, at least on 6-inch collector lines. So I'm pretty sure that means that it would still stick around for like basic kid toy lines for like Power Rangers, Marvel, Star Wars, all that kind of stuff. And that makes sense because like there is a collector market for that stuff, because like obviously I'm a collector, I buy the kids toys as well as the collector graded stuff. But in that regard, I don't care as much about the packaging for the kids toys like at all, so I'm perfectly good with that still sticking that way. So from this statement we can actually gather one piece of I think pretty important information, and that is that you can read it this way. It might not be necessarily intended to be read this way, but it does seem like from this that Power Rangers Lightning Collection is going to be continuing into 2024, which I know kind of seems like an obvious thing, but with certain things like Wave 15 only being 3 figures, and the fact that I've heard absolutely zero information beyond like 2023 releases, it definitely got me a little bit scared that this line was going to take a break due to the fact that we're not getting a new season of Power Rangers next year and stuff like that, which we also haven't had officially confirmed, but there's just no way that we are getting one next year. Now, of course, the statement said that the reintegration of the plastic was going to be beginning later on this year into 2024, so it doesn't necessarily mean that this is strictly talking about 2024. So in that regard, maybe Lightning Collection would not continue past this year. I'm not saying that it's not, but I'm also not saying that it is, so because I really don't know at this point, and things don't look great, as I just mentioned. But as I said, you can also read it into the way of saying, hey, this does confirm that it's coming back, and that's a good thing. So it's, it's one of those things. But speaking to just the whole thing in general, this is really funny to me. It's also just really strange because, like, here's a plastic-free packaging. I had gotten used to this, even though this is still only the second wave with this, because, like, Wave 13 and 14 were the first ones to have this. And, I mean, like, yes, it has its problems. There was always problems with this kind of packaging because of the fact that you can't see it, and Lightning Collection has the worst quality control of any Hasbro line. It meant that you're always buying a blind box with problems with accessories, missing accessories, duplicate accessories, or, problems with the broken figures and stuff like that. And if we're going to have a window back, that's a great thing, because you're going to actually be able to see this and actually be able to avoid these quality control problems like you used to be able to do. But it just creates this kind of weird thing because, like, all of the other brands, well, every single brand had, I feel, finally sort of gotten, used to it, or kind of, found their comfort zone of how to handle this whole thing, because it is still a new initiative. I mean, I think G.I. Joe here, I just got this figure yesterday. They did it really well. I love the glossiness on this box, the way they made the sides still look like the original boxes with the numbers and everything. It still would look good on your shelf. They had the whole thing like the weapons rack being used for the accessories inside. The figures were tied down with those cardboard strings and not necessarily in a bag. It was just, everything was done, I think, perfectly with G.I. Joe, to where I think the transition was pretty much completely seamless. And other brands, I think, kind of had it all kind of a 50-50. I would probably assume that it's going to still have plastic-free trays. So you wouldn't put the figure in tissue paper anymore because you're going to actually be able to want to see it. Like I said, think it's really just going to kind of be the interior of a plastic-free minus the tissue paper around the figure with a window now. But does that also mean things like, could Tom Whalen art return? I highly doubt it. I think that they'll probably still have the aesthetic of the box look pretty much how the plastic-free ones have looked, because every brand just changed their box design to fit with that. So it's too early to like go back to the old one, or not even go back to the old one, but I think it's too early to bring up a brand new one. But then again, I guess it could be. It's going to be a weird thing. It's just something I never expected to happen at all. I mean, I know people had been very, very vocal about how much they hated plastic-free packaging, and rightfully so. I mean, like I said, I think other brands, it was not as bad. You still had tons of people with valid complaints there, like Mint and Box collectors, of course, hated this, as they would, because of course they would, because Mint and Box collectors, even though they don't open it, they still like to see the figure, so not being able to see it defeats the whole purpose of being buying in the first place. So like, I totally got it in that regard. And then of course, like I said, for Lightning Collection, since the quality control on the line is so bad, it made buying them so dangerous or so risky because you had no idea what you were going to get with that. So I'm assuming that there's been a lot of different factors, and I know Hasbro stock price has taken a hit recently, so I'm sure there's been a lot of different factors that led to them to kind of have to take this massive public L and backtrack on their whole thing. They're still trying to do the environmental stuff with it, with the PET recycled, plastic or whatever it's supposed to be. Which, okay, sure. I mean, I believe that, but it's also like, okay, I'm sure it's more of the sales hurt them than it is they were, still dedicated to doing the whole environmental thing. Now, however, the whole thing with the statement with that does make me think that they aren't not thinking of that completely. I just don't think that that's like exactly their deciding factor, because if it was, they would just keep the plastic free how it is right now, where it is fully plastic free, except for tape and glue. And with that, that is going to do it for this week's episode of Lightning Storm. Of course, until next time, I want to know your guys' thoughts about anything I talked about down in the comments below. There's a lot to talk about here with the plastic-free packaging thing, so I really want to hear your guys' thoughts on it this week. Of course, thank you all for watching as always, and of course, you can follow me on Twitter at LivingRangerKey or at LightningFigPR, and I'll see you all on Lightning Storm. This is your lightning always strikes twice. To wrap up this video, I'd like to thank my $5 and above patrons: Jurassic Samurai, Maggot Alchemist, Robert Browning, Static Thunder, Brendan Overland, Maji Yellow, Redstone MCPC, Comics 1017, James Darty, John Luke, Eric Berry, Tyler Bazetsky, Matthew Thorne, Josh Landry, Pyramidas, CPT Tesla, Cross SCV, Caboose ED, Socket Monsters, and Anthony Love. You can support Toku Topics for as little as $1 a month on my Patreon, linked in the description below.